Hi, today we're going to use make.com and Overledger's integration to show how you could, in theory, create a relatively simple blockchain rollup, like a layer 2 style rollup, using only make.com and Overledger. This is obviously going to be a very stripped down basic proof of concept. So let's start things off with looking at the first module that we're going to use, and that's going to be the watch new contract event. So what this module does is it watches a smart contract for any events that are emitted from that event or that contract. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filtering those events to basically only look for burn events. And whenever burn events are emitted, we're going to add those burns into our data store and basically create a roll-up of burn events. So we start things off with our watch new contract event, which gets passed to a router. Now on that router, we've got a filter set up to indicate what we're going to filter on. So here we're going to look at the smart contract topics that were received in the contract event. And we're just going to take the topic 0 indicating the hash of the event that was emitted. So this is, we know this hash is for the burn event. Then we have a look at the native data to make sure that the data is indicating that the tokens were sent to the 0 address to also confirm that it was a burn event. Once we have confirmed that that's the case, then the scenario will continue to flow. And the next step we get to is the add replace a record. So what we've done is we've created a simple rollup data store. This is a make.com module that provides you some basic data storage functionality. So as part of that, we've just created a data store with some basic values. Key gets put there by default. You got a function name, so we're going to call it mint or burn, whatever. A transaction hash, we're going to put in the hash of the original transaction from the blockchain. And the function data, we're going to put in the event topics. So there we take the, we're going to mint because we've received a burn, we're going to mint into our rollup. We've got a transaction hash, which we're taking from the event data. And the function data is just going to put in the topic array. So once that's been inserted, it will generate the key value that gets put there by default, and we're going to use that later on. The next step we're going to do is we're going to use the count records function of the data store to tell us how many records have been inserted. We're going to use that to periodically write back to the blockchain. So a way to check how, if we want to write to the blockchain or not is to say the number of records modulus 100 is equal to 0 using the math function. That's just basically going to say if for every 100 records we're going to get a result of true, and then we've got a filter set up to say if the result is true, continue. If it's false, it's not going to do any more steps. So if the result is true, we're going to prepare a smart contract transaction. We're going to interact with the smart contract here, calling the publish new hash function, and we're going to have input parameters of bytes 32, and we're just going to create a hash of the key generated by the data store for the latest entry. If we have a look at that simple contract, it's just a function which accepts the new hash value and then creates a SHA-256 of the old hash and the new hash to create a proof of concept rollup. After we've prepared our transaction, we need to convert the resulting native data to JSON. We use the transform to JSON module for that. We then sign the transaction, and we get back the signed data and the request ID. And we then submit that using the execute v2 sign transaction function. And that's just how you could create a very simple proof of concept v2 rollup, layer 2 rollup.